Welcome to the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm your host, Ed Smith. Today we're going to take a look at the Supreme Superflex IDP League. It's a 12-team league. It is an IDP league. It started the summer of 2021, so 1 year in. Um, this league I did a little different in the format, and you'll kind of see it here, and we'll hit the team kind of in an interesting array. So you get 1 point for a first down, whether that is rushing, receiving, 1.5 point PPR for receivers and running backs, 2 point PPR for tight ends. So a little bit different than your standard, 1 point PPR. Receiving guys, guys that receive have a definite advantage, and the short um, catch guys that get a lot of first downs as opposed to just running, getting few receptions. It doesn't reward the large reception guy, the larger length reception guys. Um, so you want the short guys, the scrimmage Deontay Johnson types in this sort of format. So what the starters look like are one quarterback, one super flex, two running back, three receiver, two tight end, two regular flex, and then one wide receiver tight end flex. This league has a kicker, and then three defensive linemen, three linebackers, three defensive backs, and three IDP for 25 starters on this team. So huge starting spots, lots and lots of starters here. 23 bench spots and six taxi, so for 29. But if you look at that, you'll almost have as many starting spots as you do bench and taxi. So you can't just flop one in, one out. So that's a little bit of a strategy situation there to keep in mind. And then six IR spots as well. So you can funnel people to the IR pretty easily here. Um, I'm going to address the kicker first, not because I think it's important, but because I just want to get it kind of out of the way. I have Boswell from Pittsburgh. Doesn't really matter. Would take any kicker. I just sort of take the first available one. The rules state that I need to hold a kicker through the off season, so I'm just holding him as a placeholder until I decide on what kicker is the best kicker available. But put no rhyme or reason to that. Don't even care about the kicker really. And then we'll hit the defensive line. But think about, here we do start 12 defensive players. So, you need to have some, but as you notice here, I don't have a whole lot more than the 12 that I need to have. So, I kind of will pick guys up as they go. But have Buckner and Clowney and Floyd and Hicks, so pretty solid defensive linemen, really. And then some of them have linebacker eligibility, but then I have Ogletree, Hewitt, and Cox. And then my defensive backs is who I usually use in the IDP flex spots. But I have Minka Fitzpatrick, Williams, Murphy from the Cardinals, Lattimore, Johnson from the Bears, Jackson, Davis, and Choice. I don't even know who that is, or Equals, I guess. He scored a points, and I put him on a team. I mean, that's how that goes. And so I put very little thought, energy into it. I mean, I think Buckner's pretty good, Clowney's pretty good, Floyd's pretty good. Like the defensive linemen feel real good, and then Murphy and Fitzpatrick are pretty good. But Jalen Johnson might be coming on. He's a young player, should be good. And Carlton Davis should be good. I mean, there's guys that possibly are okay, but I don't put a lot of rhyme or reason into them either. And this team was a Final Four team. It competed for third place, and really there was a time when it was thought of maybe it could win a championship in year one, which was kind of crazy considering how little effort I put into it. I will say this, that I drafted this thing when we get to the draft, and the philosophy behind it a little different, so it could compete in year one. But it was kind of told at the beginning of the year that this team was terrible, that it never could make the playoffs. Like, I did get lambasted by the team, but now what I will say is that it's a two tight end um, starting spots, and my tight ends are awful, 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 awful. So I have Kyle Rudolph and Uzoma as the two tight ends on the roster. So there just isn't anything there, and I'm kind of just trying to figure out. They have elevated the tight end value, which is kind of crazy when everybody else gets a point and a half PPR and tight ends get 2 point PPR. It's not really that much of a difference. And so it's really about, so you never want to put a tight end in the flex. Well, I guess unless you can keep tight ends away from me, which some people are doing apparently. And so that's one place I feel like it isn't, and I may go after McBride, but I'm not gonna push my envelope at all. I might just fill in with young tight ends, some late dart throws, and go from there. I've found it really challenging to trade in this league, so I only have my draft picks. So that's kind of one thing to keep in mind. It's tight on the trade front now. There's people trading stuff, but I can never get those deals. I mean, I think maybe I shot my mouth off in the league, and so I don't get the same deals as everybody else. But and then me winning, has made people not want to trade with me even more. Like it's almost like a collusion against trading with me as opposed to other people. But that's fine. I mean, I'll just keep drafting where I am, and I have a good base, and so I do control the quarterback room, and that'll be hard for them to break into. So I have. And when I talk about the quarterbacks we have, we're ahead, and so at some point somebody's going to need to make a trade, for a quarterback, I guess I believe. So I have Lamar and Josh Allen as my two staple quarterbacks that are lead the way, and then I have Daniel Jones and Davis Mills and Baker Mayfield and Wentz and Goff. So those are all starting quarterbacks currently, and that's six of the 32. And then there's some probable starting quarterbacks that may or may not be at some point and have a chance, I guess. And those are guys like Dalton, Kyle Allen, White, Mitch, Mason Rudolph, Tyrod Taylor, P.J. Walker, Minshew, Mond, Huntley, and Ellinger. So there are some people there that could get starting gigs. I mean, Huntley, got some time, and I'm kind of waiting. I'm selling some of those guys high. I am using my roster spots. There's only 23 of them. I am using them to hold some of those guys to make sure that they're doing what they're doing to me at tight end. I'm kind of doing at quarterback, feeling like that's gonna affect them more than me throwing a slappy at tight end. So like I got by with Kyle Rudolph at tight end. Like he wasn't really playing much, but I got by with Uzoma and Rudolph there. And I'm addressing it, but I'm not going to overreach or pay a premium to get tight end. Then running back, I'm a little bit light. I get it. Cordell Patterson and Derrick Henry, and then Gus Bus and Moss and James Robinson, and then Abdullah, Jeff Wilson, and Sargent. And you guys that know me know we always have Sargent. He actually just re-signed though. His tender with the Jags, so they must like him a little bit more than Hyde, which is good. I saw the Hyde get cut, so excited that they at least tendered him a contract, and so maybe he's part of the new regime's plans. But and because we have so much of it, and I get it that Patterson and Henry are old, and Gus comes back and is older, and Robinson we don't know what he's going to come back to. So I mean I know of those guys, but I'm just hoping that we can run the wheels off of Henry one more year and two running backs, and we'll see what we can create in those spots. And I think with having all the quarterbacks, it will push some value down the board this year in the draft. It'll push some running backs, receivers down the board. Looking at the receiver room, I mean, you guys can probably see why the team did do well, because it's got some key pieces, and even Henry, if he plays all year, and Cordell Patterson and Robinson, and there's some pieces there to fill out two spots. And then the receiver room, we have Keenan Allen and Pittman and Michael Thomas. And so while some of those guys didn't play a ton last year, they do have outlooks, even if they're a little older in the year. And we'll look to get off of them if the price is right, but we're going to keep taking the points and taking the wins if we can. We feel like they still have a year left in them if we can roll it all back out there. And then Hardman, Myers, Keelan Cole, OBJ, and Swain. And even if OBJ doesn't come back till halfway through the year, maybe the first half is Allen, and then that'll allow us to kind of trade maybe an Allen or a Thomas away and just backfill with OBJ and not miss much and replenish the draft. And let's say that next year doesn't go as well as we'd like. We can always sell Henry and Allen to a contender at that point and rebuild it with a strong class. Looking at the draft of pick number 9, pick number 21, and 33, 45, 57, 69. And so I really think of the top third with that 33rd pick in 21 and 9. I can get 3 top 30 players that possibly have a chance to start. And so I'm not going to focus on defense unless it's just a standout that I can't live without. But and with defense going in this draft, I think I'll be able to take some dart throws at 45, 57, and 69 that have a chance of hitting or maybe remaining on the taxi. But that's been a place with 6 taxi spots. I do stash some guys to just see what they can become, and just wait for them to take off, or maybe stash a couple quarterbacks that I'm just kind of trying to hold on to see if they become something like Huntley. I think he's got a chance to get traded somewhere over the summer and maybe be a starter for one of these quarterback needy teams after his showing. And it's like those kind of guys, having them, and then you just send them off for a future first, somewhere is what I'd be looking to do, or maybe a first and a second, just a first and a third, just to have a couple darts, even though they're a first round dart, and so holding the quarterback market high, even if it's at the detriment of the tight end market, and me not having, I'll backfill. I'll find a diamond, like so, I'll find like the Dawson Knox of this year, or I'm just gonna look for that kind of player to just pop in, and like Izuma was last year. Izuma was a fine find. I mean, as you know, I had nothing into him. Like, he was a free square, and I did take a chance with Jarwin that didn't work out, and that's okay. And he was good at football, so I felt like that was a good dart throw in the 15th round. It didn't work, but that's okay. We cut our losses and moved on, and we'll find another one of those types of players that to fill it out and just give us a little bit of oomph, if you will. And what I'm trying to do is get 2 of the top 24 tight ends in there. They don't have to be top 5; they just have to be top 24. And then then with the quarterbacks we have, people are going to have to make some moves. And looking at this team, there's 4 teams in the league that just do not have 2 starting quarterbacks currently. So I feel like just out of the pickle boat, there's 4 teams that are worse. So now I just have to be better than 2 more teams to get to the playoffs. And you get to the playoffs, and you just don't know what happens. And so that's kind of my philosophy with this team. And so be interested to hear what you guys think. If you think that it was really a 4th place team, or if you think it shouldn't have never made the playoffs. I think Fantasy Pros had this thing rated 11th. So we definitely outperformed the projections, if you will, and see what you guys think in the next. If you think that the team actually gets better with a healthy Henry, assuming he's healthy, and with a healthy Gus Bus, and a healthy Michael Thomas. Even though maybe Keenan Allen's a year older and James Robinson's hurt at the beginning and OBJ's hurt at the beginning. Let me know what you think of this team. You think if it might have a chance to actually compete. I guess I go back to the quarterbacks. Whenever you have Josh Allen and Lamar heading the way, there's not going to be too many teams that have a better quarterback duel, and then you're holding some of the cards of the better of allowing anybody to even get close to you in the quarterback room because of all the extra depth that we have. So let me know what you think. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well, and put your comments in the chat. I just love to hear them, and love to answer any questions you might have. And another day on the Fantasy Football Clown Show. So long for today, and we'll come back tomorrow.